Chapter 325. Do you want to come back to the Qiu family with me? Qiu Yimeng suddenly proposed seriously, her eyes filled with sincerity. This was definitely an opportunity. Qiu Yimeng could also see that the relationship between Yang Kai and Shanqing Luo was one of superficial unity, so if she could offer him effective conditions at this time, it would undoubtedly be a great opportunity for the Qiu family to win him over. This time's imprisonment would also be worth it. Qiu Yimeng was a decisive woman and naturally knew what to do at this time. Young Lady Qiu, are you joking? Yang Kai looked at her indifferently and sneered. I'm serious. Qiu Yimeng brushed her hair behind her ear. I can provide you with better treatment than here. You can have anything you want, cultivation resources, beautiful women to serve you. I have everything. Elder Sister Qiu. Luo Xiaoman whispered. She hadn't expected Qiu Yimeng to offer such generous conditions in order to win over Yang Kai. The Qiu family was one of the 8 great families of the central capital. Its influence was huge and its capital was strong. Many people in the world wanted to drill into it, but the Qiu family's eyes were also high. Ning Kai didn't want to rot, so they only accepted foreign elites or masters. But even if they wanted to win over a few immortal ascension boundary masters, they didn't need to pay such a big price, right? Was this guy really so valuable? However, although Luo Xiaoman's mind wasn't as sharp as Qiu Yimeng's, she had been with Qiu Yimeng for a long time and knew she had a good eye for people. Since she dared to say so, this man in front of her might really be worth winning over. Thinking so, Luo Xiaoman no longer dared to underestimate Yang Kai, even looking at him with a serious expression. What do you think? I'm very serious about this matter. Qiu Yimeng looked at Yang Kai solemnly and continued to ask. Yang Kai's brow wrinkled. He hadn't expected that this woman not only had great aptitude and strength, but also had a very decisive temperament. Based on her performance during this time, if this woman didn't die young, she would definitely become a great character in the future. Even if I told you before, if you want to marry a woman from my Qiu family, I can make the decision to agree. I happen to have a cousin who is quite beautiful. You can even take her as a concubine. Yang Kai looked at her playfully. Women can't tempt me. Qiu Yimeng giggled, her beautiful eyes watery. Then just now. That was just an accident. Kai Yang replied calmly, without the slightest bit of embarrassment. So, do you agree or not? Qiu Yimeng saw that Yang Kai was completely airtight and couldn't help feeling annoyed. If it were any other young man, he would have long prostrated himself on the ground and submitted to such conditions, but he had an indifferent expression on his face. She didn't even seem to be tempted. What appetite was this bastard's? No. I'm living quite well right now. Kai Yang didn't want to waste any more words with her, so he simply refused. Qiu Yimeng was startled for a moment before suddenly smiling. You should think about it. You families. She knew that she couldn't force this kind of man. She had to give him the freedom to choose, otherwise, not only would he fail, but it would also ruin things. In her heart, she was secretly annoyed with herself for being so eager. But seeing him act so carefree, Qiu Yimeng couldn't help feeling a little angry, so she asked anxiously. Let's talk about another matter. Can you help me and Xiaoman pass a message to the beguiling demon queen? Let's talk about it after I see her. Yang Kai frowned and shrugged. As you can see, I'm also a prisoner now. However, my treatment is much better than yours. Qiu Yimeng smiled. In any case, I must thank you. If I can survive this disaster, after I return to the Qiu family, I will definitely restore High Heaven Pavilion's reputation. Yang Kai's eyes lit up, staring at her for a long time before he nodded slightly. Qiu Yimeng's words. Finally, she had won some goodwill from Yang Kai. Make yourself at home. Yang Kai said before closing his eyes and meditating. Qiu Yimeng watched for a while and found that this young man was really cultivating in front of her and Luo Xiaoman. She couldn't help smiling, knowing that he was sending them off. Not wanting to stay any longer, she pulled Luo Xiaoman and said, Let's go. But he hadn't left yet. Before they left, Yang Kai suddenly shouted, If you want to take a bath, let Yunli Ruoyu and Ruoqing prepare some warm water. The bath is on the first floor. I won't be leaving this room for a while. Qiu Yimeng's face reddened, realizing that the words she and Luo Xiaoman had said before they went upstairs had been heard by him. Thank you, I hope we won't be enemies in the future. Staring deeply at Yang Kai, Qiu Yimeng said in a low voice. Going down to the first floor, Luo Xiaoman couldn't help asking softly, Elder Sister Qiu, do you really think so highly of that guy? Qiu Yimeng's expression became dignified as she pondered for a moment before nodding. Of all the people I've fought, he is the most powerful. Moreover, after not seeing him for half a month, he seems to have become a lot stronger. Although his cultivation is lower than mine, in front of him, I always feel an invisible pressure. That may be because our Yuan Qi has been sealed. If we really restore our strength, we won't necessarily be afraid of him. No. Qiu Yimeng slowly shook her head. I believe in my intuition. I'm afraid even the Lu family's Lu Qingyao is no match for him. Even the first young lords of the 8 great families can't compare to him? Luo Xiaoman's eyes filled with surprise. It's the 7 great families, the Yang family's young lords are all outside, so they don't count. Qiu Yimeng smiled wryly, thinking about the way the Yang family cultivated their direct descendants. She couldn't help feeling a bit disdainful. Thinking about it, she suddenly became vigilant. Yang Kai's surname was also Yang. Could it be? It shouldn't be. Although she didn't recognize any of the Yang family's young lords, they couldn't possibly be his age. Only the youngest young lord of the Yang family was similar in age to Yang Kai, but it was said that this young lord was congenitally deficient and unsuitable for cultivation. However, this person's ruthlessness and domineering attitude was exactly the same as the Yang family's. Fortunately, this person doesn't have any background. If his background was big, Qiu Yimeng smiled wryly and shook her head. When she was in the central capital, she had always been arrogant, and few of the young lords could enter her eyes, but now that she had come out for a stroll, she had encountered such a character. While talking, Qiu Yimeng went outside to find Yunli and asked her to prepare some hot water for her, then went to the bathtub on the first floor to take a bath. But unexpectedly, Yang Kai really had been cultivating on the second floor and hadn't come out. Since that day, after venting all of his accumulated frustrations on Bai Luo's cherry lips, Yang Kai's temperament had become completely indifferent. On the road of cultivation, there was a balance between relaxation and relaxation. That moment of relaxation seemed to have completely eliminated all of Yang Kai's exhaustion over the past year, and his whole person seemed to have been refreshed from the inside out. Yang Kai faintly felt that his state of mind had improved somewhat. With the improvement of his state of mind and the relaxation of his body and mind, Yang Kai's cultivation speed had also become much faster. Although he didn't have any pills to supplement his spiritual energy, Yang Kai still didn't stop comprehending the true alchemic way. Each time he did so, Yang Kai would exhaust his spiritual energy and wait for a few hours, allowing his soul to slowly recover. During this time, he would circulate his true Yang secret art, not relaxing for even a moment. During this time, the unyielding golden skeleton and incense burner finally played a role. These 2 things had been sealed away for a long time, and Yang Kai hadn't used them in a long time. However, as long as there was an opportunity, Yang Kai would remember to use them. 3 days later, Shanqing Luo returned to Fragrant City. The first thing he did was to go to Tranquil Phoenix Pavilion. After not seeing her for a few days, this dragon lady seemed to have become more enchanting and charming, her whole body constantly exuding a seductive charm. Her delicate body was like a weak willow branch swaying in the wind, seemingly unable to withstand a single blow, but in fact, it contained a great deal of strength. This was one of the world's top masters. No one could underestimate her. Her beautiful eyes looked towards Yang Kai and smiled. Little bastard, you've been quite obedient these past few days. Yang Kai put on a cold smile and coldly snorted, I know my place. Good, don't be angry. Shanqing Luo said in a soft and charming voice. Didn't I leave a few women to serve you? How come I heard Yunli say you haven't eaten any of them? I didn't think you'd be so serious. Shanqing Luo looked at him strangely. Yang Kai felt a bit guilty. Shanqing Luo giggled and leaned forward, whispering softly, "Bai Luo's skills aren't bad." "Not bad." Yang Kai blushed and quickly changed the subject. "Dragon Lady, why did you leave me here?" "I didn't want to do anything." Shanqing Luo's tender body twirled, and in a flash of light, she sat down on the fragrant bed and smiled towards Yang Kai. "Are you bored staying here? What do you think?" Yang Kai looked at her coldly. Shanqing Luo asked, "Then why don't you go out for a walk?" "Where can I go?" "You can go wherever you want. No one is stopping you." Kai Yang stared at her for a moment, then suddenly reacted, looking at her in surprise. "You mean, I can leave here?" "Of course. When did I say you can't leave here?" "You woman." Yang Kai's stomach was filled with annoyance. "Good, don't be angry." Shanqing Luo's expression became serious as she said, "I came back this time to tell you that you can leave this place. If you want a man, you can't just lock him up. This is something I understand. And you can keep my body here, but you can't keep my heart." Yang Kai nodded, eagerly suggesting, "Then the soul-chasing seal. Keep it for now, otherwise I won't be able to find you." Shanqing Luo pursed her red lips, her expression somewhat sad. But Yang Kai didn't force her. Although Shanqing Luo said he could leave, Yang Kai didn't feel too happy, at least not as excited as he had imagined. Probably because he knew that this dragon lady didn't have the slightest malicious intent towards him, so although she had trapped him here these past few days, he didn't feel much resentment. Moreover, by borrowing her name, Yang Kai had also obtained a lot of benefits, so he didn't suffer any losses. If he hadn't entered Shanqing Luo's knowledge sea and seen a lot of her inner thoughts, Yang Kai would have already shed all pretense of cordiality with her. Chapter 326. Right? How are you going to deal with Qiu Yimeng? Yang Kai frowned and asked. Luo Xiaoman doesn't matter. Although Purple Fern Valley's influence isn't small, compared to yours, Qiu Yimeng is a member of the Qiu family. I know how to deal with them. Shanqing Luo chuckled, but I can't let them go yet. I'm going to take them to the battlefield tomorrow. Battlefield? Yang Kai raised his brow. The world's great forces are besieging the ash-gray cloud evil land and have been fighting for a long time now. Shanqing Luo smiled at Yang Kai. Why are you taking them to the battlefield? Naturally, I have my own purpose. Do you want to come with me? No need. Yang Kai stretched his body and chuckled. It's rare for me to be free. I won't follow you and continue to be manipulated by you. You're really cruel, a fickle man. I've always treated you with such sincerity. Shanqing Luo glared at him with resentment. Enough. Wrinkling his brow, Yang Kai suddenly remembered something and asked, Right, I have something to ask you. What kind of place is the evil cavern? Shanqing Luo stared at him in surprise. Where did you hear that? When I was fighting with Liu that day, I heard someone mention it. They said that the martial skill Liu used was something he learned from the evil cavern. Shanqing Luo nodded lightly, not asking about the grievances between Yang Kai and Liu. With her shrewdness, how could she not guess that Bai Luo had played a role in this? She simply said, The evil cavern is a very strange place, filled with evil qi. It can be considered a dangerous place. Liu Yu's demonic purple qi body is also a good martial skill, but he can't fully display it. So the power he can display is greatly reduced. Why, do you want to go and see it? That's a bit of an idea. Yang Kai didn't deny it. That day when he was refining the demonic purple qi, his unyielding golden skeleton had faintly stirred, which made Yang Kai very curious. He didn't know what kind of mysteries were hidden within the evil cavern. If possible, he might be able to pry into the secrets of the unyielding golden skeleton. Right now, the world was in chaos and smoke was everywhere. Yang Kai admitted that his strength was too low, so he couldn't get involved. He might as well find a place to train himself and make plans after he grew up. Go there. Shanqing Luo furrowed her beautiful brows. She was a little worried, but she quickly relaxed. That's fine. You seem to be cultivating an evil technique. You might really gain something if you go there. However, the evil cavern was located in the profound Yin Ghost King's territory. That place isn't as safe as Fragrant City, There may be enemies everywhere. If that's the case, I'll have Bai Luo send you there tomorrow. She knows the way so you don't have to find it yourself. Alright. The next day, at dawn, Bai Luo ran over. Since that passionate day, this enchanting girl had not appeared in front of Yang Kai again. Now that she saw him again, she couldn't help blushing slightly, but she still glared fiercely at Yang Kai. Curling her lips, she said, "Master asked me to take you to the evil cavern. You bastard, even if you want to die, you shouldn't go there. If you just said so, this young lady could have dealt with you, yet you still made me go there. It's really annoying." Yang Kai chuckled and nodded. "Then I'll have to trouble you. Do you have anything you want to pack? If not, we can set off now. That place isn't close to Fragrant City. It'll take a few days to get there and back." "No, let's go." The two of them left the palace. Coincidentally, they met Shanqing Luo, Qiu Yimeng, and Luo Xiaoman outside. It seemed like they were waiting for Yang Kai to come out. The three of them glanced at each other, Qiu Yimeng and Luo Xiaoman both wearing miserable expressions, seemingly hoping that Yang Kai would say a few more words to resolve their current predicament. Frowning, Yang Kai turned a blind eye. Since Shanqing Luo didn't intend to take their lives, she must have other plans, so there was no point in trying to persuade her. "I'll take you along the way for a while, then we'll part ways half a day later to help you save some strength." Shanqing Luo chuckled, waving her hand, and a soft chi wrapped everyone up before flying directly out of Fragrant City. This simple action caused Yang Kai's brow to twitch. Qiu Yimeng and Luo Xiaoman's hearts also sank, knowing that escaping from the hands of the beguiling demon queen was nothing more than a pipe dream. The group moved extremely quickly, crossing a few thousand meters in the blink of an eye. As they flew, Shanqing Luo whispered to Yang Kai, "The evil cavern is in the territory of the profound Yin Ghost King, and with my evil king's token, no one should dare to provoke you, but you and Bai Luo shouldn't cause any trouble when you arrive there. The people there aren't as easy to deal with as they are in Fragrant City. Bai Luo will take you to that place and then come back." Yang Kai nodded slightly. There are many evil spirits inside the evil cavern, and although there are many people who obtain benefits from it every year, many more die inside. Don't go too deep. The deeper you go, the stronger the evil spirits will become. You won't be able to deal with them. What are evil spirits? Yang Kai frowned and asked. Evil spirits are the demonic qi and demonic qi inside the evil cavern. They are very difficult to deal with. They don't have sentience, but they are very aggressive. As long as it's a living thing, they will attack. In addition to comprehending martial skills, what other benefits are there? Yang Kai asked. It was rare for Shanqing Luo to know so much about the evil cavern, so naturally he had to inquire about it first. In addition to comprehending martial skills, there is also the ability to increase one's strength. After those evil spirits are defeated, they will leave behind an evil spirit essence, which is a mass of energy. If one can absorb and refine it, they can increase one's strength. Therefore, there are many people who enter the evil cavern at all times in the hopes of becoming stronger. Not only are there cultivators from the ash-gray cloud evil land, but there are also people from the outside who disguise themselves and sneak in. There are all kinds of people. So that's how it is. Yang Kai nodded. However, there are also some evil spirit essences that contain some special things, such as a variety of strange martial skills. Lu Yu's demonic purple chi body was comprehended in such a way, but these martial skills are quite sinister. Another example is the evil spirit essence that can increase one's spiritual energy. Some people have obtained such a thing and their spiritual energy has greatly increased. Is there such a good thing? Yang Kai's eyes lit up. During this time, he had been thinking about increasing his spiritual energy like crazy. There are many good things, but you also need to have the ability to earn them. Shanqing Luo smiled. And the world is really mysterious. Such a thing actually exists. Yang Kai said in amazement. The last time he had gone to Nether Mountain for life experience was also the same, but he didn't know how it had formed. I heard my mother say that the evil cavern is connected to another place. Shanqing Luo finished speaking and also chuckled lightly. Obviously, she didn't take this matter seriously. What place? The demon world. The group of people all looked surprised, none of them had ever heard of such a thing. It might be true, otherwise there would be no other explanation for why there are so many evil spirits there that they can't be killed. You're joking. Yang Kai sneered. Ha. My mother also heard it from her mother. Xianxia Luo giggled. Yang Kai, you want to go to the evil cavern for life experience? Qiu Yimeng's beautiful eyes sparkled as she looked at him curiously. Yang Kai nodded. Can you take us with you? I also want to go. Qiu Yimeng smiled sweetly. Xianxia Luo glanced at her meaningfully. Qiu Yimeng smiled wryly. I can help him. The more people there are, the better. After all, my strength isn't too low. Don't worry, I won't do anything to you. Xianxia Luo softly comforted. I'm taking you to the battlefield just so you can see how those who came to attack the ash-gray cloud evil land treat the people here. Qiu Yimeng was slightly surprised. She somewhat understood Xianxia Luo's intentions. In fact, good and evil are not as clear-cut as you think. This world is not just black and white. Xianxia Luo's always soft and seductive voice was now slightly low. Half a day later, the group parted ways. Xianxia Luo took Qiu Yimeng and Luo Xiaoman away while Yang Kai and Bai Luo flew towards the profound Yin Ghost King's territory. The profound Yin Ghost King. Among the 6 great evil kings, the Ghost King was ranked near the top and was extremely difficult to deal with. The Ghost King had once coveted the beauty of the previous generation's beguiling demon queen and had even secretly launched a sneak attack on her. However, in order to save the previous generation's beguiling demon queen, the relationship between him and Xianxia Luo was not very good. As a result, the relationship between the two territories had become somewhat turbulent. Therefore, even if Bai Luo had Xianxia Luo's demon king token, she didn't dare show it casually. She didn't want to attract the attention of the Ghost King's cultivator. The two of them cautiously made their way towards the evil cavern without any hindrance, not encountering any trouble. Occasionally, they would come across a cultivator, but both of them would vigilantly observe each other, not daring to act rashly. 3 days later, the two of them arrived at a spot about 3 kilometers from the evil cavern. Here they were. Bai Luo stopped and pointed to the front. The place you want to go is over there. Yang Kai looked up and glanced over. He didn't find anything strange. There was no trace of demonic qi as he had imagined. Hey, you bastard, you better be careful when you enter, don't die. Bai Luo angrily snorted. Yang Kai turned to look at her and suddenly chuckled. Why are you so concerned about me? Don't tell me you've fallen for me? Nonsense. Bai Luo cursed. You think this old lady will fall for you? This old lady would rather be a dog shit than fall for you. Don't bother with me, I'll tell you right now, last time we don't owe each other anything. If you dare to go out and say anything, I'll castrate you. Just as Bai Luo was cursing him, Yang Kai suddenly rushed up, grabbed her waist, and kissed her fiercely. Woo-woo. Bai Luo struggled fiercely and fiercely tried to resist. Suddenly, Kai Yang let go of her and laughed heartily before quickly leaving. Bastard. Bai Luo pursed her red lips, feeling as if she had bitten them so hard they were bleeding, a bitter taste spreading from the tip of her tongue. Damn, I'll never touch a man again. Bai Luo thought to herself. Waiting until Yang Kai disappeared from her field of vision, Bai Luo coldly snorted and turned around to leave. 3 kilometers away, Yang Kai found a deep black pit in the ground. Standing next to it, a cold wind blew up from below, causing not only his body to shiver, but also his divine sense to feel extremely cold. Worthy of being called a danger zone, it was indeed a bit strange. Yang Kai secretly pondered. Circulating his true Yang secret art slightly, dispelling the cold feeling, Yang Kai leapt into the air and quickly descended. Chapter 327. The cave seemed to be extremely deep. Yang Kai couldn't reach the bottom even after falling for a long time. After a while, he suddenly heard sounds of fighting coming from below, and a series of flickering lights flashed in front of his eyes, indicating that someone was releasing their martial skills. Yang Kai became even more vigilant, knowing that Shanqing Luo's words were not false. Although this evil cavern was extremely dangerous, there were still people training inside at all times. Yang Kai had only just entered, yet he had already encountered people. The more dangerous a place was, the more benefits there were. The evil cavern's various wonders were enough to attract people to come here. This was also because the world was in chaos right now, so many people were fighting outside. If it were normal times, there would likely be even more people here. When there were many people, there would be disputes, fights, and bloodshed. This was a principle that had existed since ancient times. After a while, the sounds of fighting and the flashes of light became clear. Yang Kai listened carefully and determined that there should be 4 people on the other side. Their strength wasn't very high, probably all Yuan Qi cultivators. As he fell, Yang Kai quietly released his divine sense to probe the surroundings. A series of extremely evil energies spread throughout the range of his divine sense. These energies were either strong or weak, giving off a very uncomfortable feeling. These should be the so-called evil spirits. There were also some auras of cultivators, but they were very scattered, each one minding their own business. Although he didn't perceive any danger for the time being, Yang Kai quickly withdrew his divine sense. Releasing one's divine sense was a very dangerous thing. If one encountered an attack that could harm one's divine sense, they could be injured. Therefore, even if one was an immortal ascension boundary master, they wouldn't constantly release their divine sense, only occasionally using their divine sense to investigate the surrounding environment. After half a cup of tea worth of time, Yang Kai finally arrived at the bottom of the cave. Not far in front of him, there were 4 people fighting fiercely, using all kinds of martial skills. This group of people cooperated closely, one retreating, one advancing, one returning. Advancing and retreating, there wasn't the slightest panic. What they were fighting were a few oily green things. These things looked like humans, and there were blurry and ferocious facial features on their faces. However, their bodies were illusory and corporeal at the same time, ethereal and illusory. Amidst their ferocious roars, bursts of ghostly wails and howls could be heard, although they weren't very strong. However, it was extremely difficult to kill. This should be the evil spirit. It was indeed a little strange. Yang Kai had suddenly appeared behind them, but none of them had noticed him. They were probably too focused on the battle in front of them. In order to avoid any misunderstandings, Yang Kai deliberately made some noise. The 4 of them were startled and hurriedly turned their heads to look back. The next moment, a person silently jumped out of the battle circle. He faced Yang Kai warily. Yang Kai was expressionless and didn't show any hostility. He just stood there quietly, waiting for the battle to end. That person observed for a while and also noticed this. He couldn't help but smile at Yang Kai as a gesture of goodwill. Yang Kai nodded lightly, not paying any attention to him. He just quietly observed the environment of the evil cavern. There seemed to be a completely different world underground. The entire underground was hollow, and there were only a few stone pillars that stood tall from time to time. The inside of the evil cavern was a barren wasteland, without a single trace of life. It was hard not to feel depressed, and the environment was quite complicated as well. The roots were intertwined. Although this place was deep underground, it was not dark. Everywhere there was a kind of sparkling light, like fireflies, but also like will-o'-the-wisps. The entire ash-gray cloud evil land was like an azure purgatory, and even the people inside were affected. It also looked ferocious and terrifying. After observing for a while, Yang Kai began to plan. If the old demon was here at this moment, these green evil spirits would undoubtedly be a great source of nourishment for him. Unfortunately, he was probably still at the bottom of the coiling dragon stream, absorbing the demon chi here. Of the several cultivators in front of him, although one of them was on guard against Yang Kai, and one less companion, the remaining 3 didn't dare to hold back. Using all kinds of fierce martial skills, they quickly killed the few green evil spirits. Accompanied by a burst of sharp howls, the green evil spirits' bodies suddenly collapsed and disappeared into thin air. All that was left were a few lumps of something that looked very clear, but still contained a bit of evil energy, floating in the air. Evil spirit essence. Yang Kai's heart skipped a beat. All the cultivators who came to the evil cavern were here for this evil spirit essence. Absorbing and refining it would allow them to obtain all kinds of benefits. However, these green evil spirit essences looked a bit weak and didn't contain much rich energy. Discovering this, Yang Kai withdrew his gaze. The several cultivators all looked at Yang Kai and were very satisfied with his calm performance. One of them, who looked relatively calm, turned to another woman and said, "Sister Rong, put these things away." The woman nodded and then pulled out a small bottle from the cloth bag at her waist. Pointing the bottle at the green evil spirit essences, she gently circulated her yuan qi. Asterisk xiao xiao xiao. Asterisk the bottle wasn't too big, so it contained all the evil spirit essences. The girl smiled and shook the bottle, her pair of beautiful eyes staring at it, a very satisfied expression on her face. Yang Kai's brow wrinkled as he curiously observed all this. The man who had just spoken seemed to notice this and couldn't help smiling heartily before cupping his fists towards Yang Kai. "This one is called Tao Yang. May I ask what your excellency's name is?" "Yang Kai." "So it's Brother Yang." Tao Yang chuckled and raised his straight eyebrows, bluntly saying, "Looking at Brother Yang's appearance, it seems you don't know much about this place." Yang Kai nodded. Shanqing Luo had only told him about the dangers and opportunities inside the evil cavern, but she hadn't said anything about this bottle that could collect evil spirit essences, so he was quite concerned about this. "First time here?" "First time." "No wonder." Tao Yang seemed to be a bit friendly, at least he didn't show any malicious intent, nor did he rely on his superior numbers to bully others. Yang Kai felt the need to re-examine the cultivator of the ash-gray cloud evil land. The world's prejudices against the ash-gray cloud evil land were too great, so they thought that anyone who lived here was not a good person. Didn't they know that bad people and good people coexisted everywhere? While Yang Kai and Tao Yang were talking, the other three people around him were also looking at Yang Kai with great interest, seemingly thinking that this person was a bit stupid and ridiculous. He didn't know anything yet still dared to rush into the evil cavern alone. He really didn't know how to write the word death. "What is this bottle?" Yang Kai pointed to the bottle in the girl's hand and asked. Since Tao Yang didn't have any malicious intent, naturally he could inquire about it. "This." Tao Yang took the bottle from the girl's hand and shook it in front of Yang Kai. Inside the bottle was a dense green light that seemed to flow like a stream of water. "This is a purifying spirit bottle, an artifact specially refined for the cultivator who comes here for life experience." "What's its use?" Seeing that he really didn't know anything, Tao Yang couldn't help smiling bitterly, rubbing his forehead and patiently explaining, "Brother Yang, you know that after an evil spirit is killed, it will leave behind a spirit essence, right? This spirit essence contains a variety of mysteries. After it is absorbed and refined, one can obtain many benefits. But this spirit essence is not something that can be casually absorbed. It contains a lot of yin and evil qi. This requires a cultivator to refine it, and the stronger the evil spirit, the richer the yin and evil qi it leaves behind after its death." Yang Kai nodded slightly. He could also perceive the yin and evil qi contained in the evil spirit essence. It was pure and vicious energy that no one could accept. If one absorbed too much of it, they would only lose their mind. Refining it will take some time. Inside this evil cavern, there are dangers everywhere. You can't just absorb and refine an evil spirit's essence every time you kill one. That would be too dangerous and too stupid of a person to do such a thing. Tao Yang chuckled. The purifying spirit bottle comes into play. It can store an evil spirit's essence inside. Once you find the right opportunity and a safe place, you can take out the spirit essence and use it. So that's how it is. Yang Kai suddenly realized he hadn't expected there to be so many secrets behind this evil cavern. Since he had come here alone, it seemed he would have to be more careful. Moreover, the purifying spirit bottle has the effect of purifying yin and evil qi. The longer it is kept inside, the easier it will be for us to refine the spirit essence. However, doing so will damage the purifying spirit bottle, so it's best not to keep it for too long. Try to find an opportunity to refine it as soon as possible. It can also increase your strength. Thank you for the advice. Yang Kai cupped his fists. Brother Yang is too polite. Tao Yang smiled faintly. Saying so, he frowned slightly. His expression seemed to be struggling and hesitating, but soon he turned to the woman and said, Junior sister, give me another bottle. Hearing this, the woman took out another bottle and handed it to Tao Yang. Tao Yang threw it to Yang Kai and said with a smile, Brother Yang, it's best if you also bring one, otherwise it will be very troublesome for you to be alone. Brother. Seeing him so generous, directly giving away a purifying spirit bottle to a stranger, the other three couldn't help calling out. A purifying spirit bottle, although it wasn't a high-end artifact, was still quite troublesome to refine, so they had only brought 3 with them this time. How could they just give one away? Everyone is here to gain experience, so we should help each other and help each other. Tao Yang quietly glared at the other 3 and motioned for them to shut up. Yang Kai reached out and took the purifying spirit bottle, his brow wrinkling slightly. As the saying goes, one should not receive a reward without pains. Although he didn't have any malicious intent towards Tao Yang's group when he came down, they were just strangers who had met by chance, so for them to be so generous made Yang Kai feel somewhat surprised. This made him suspicious, wondering if the other party had something to ask him for help with. But they didn't know him, so why would they ask for his help? Wanting to return the bottle, Yang Kai restrained himself. When others gave him something, it wouldn't be good to just return it like this. It might give them the feeling of being snubbed, and if things went south, they might even turn on him. What should he give them in exchange? Yang Kai hesitated. Sweeping the black book space with his divine sense, Yang Kai found that in addition to the myriad drug liquid, spirit milk, and spirit ointment, there was also the yin-yang monster ginseng. In addition, there were the artifacts from the Endless Sea Island's great sects, as well as the Azura sword and 1,000 blossoming blood begonia. These were all things he couldn't give away. In addition to this, there were some pills. Some of these pills were prepared for him by Ling Tai Su and hadn't been used up at that time. There were also 2 bottles of heaven-grade pills that he had taken out from Shan Qing Luo's treasure house. Chapter 328. After investigating for a moment, Yang Kai suddenly realized that he was actually quite poor. After thinking about it carefully, he decided to give them a bottle of heaven-grade pills. A bottle of heaven-grade pills was not cheap, and since he had taken them from Shan Qing Luo's treasure house, each bottle was worth at least 200,000 or 300,000 silvers. It should be enough to offset a purifying spirit bottle. Yang Kai frowned as his divine sense wandered around the black book space. Although it was only for a moment, in the eyes of the others, he seemed to be in a daze. The other 3 didn't mind that Tao Yang had given Yang Kai a purifying spirit bottle, but because he was their brother, they had endured it. However, they still felt that their brother was being too generous and somewhat reckless. They had only met for the first time, so even if they wanted to make friends with him, there was no need to do this, right? At this moment, seeing Yang Kai actually put on an indifferent expression, they couldn't help feeling a little annoyed. The girl named Rong may seem to be a straightforward person and immediately coldly snorted. When others give you something, can't you even say thank you? You're not a mute. The other 2 also stared at him coldly, as if they had just suffered a big loss. Yang Kai was stunned for a moment before looking up at them and lightly saying, Sorry, I was thinking about something and lost myself. Are you done thinking? The girl named Rong Mei didn't give up, as if she wanted to hear Yang Kai say thank you before she would give up. Yang Kai nodded and casually tossed a bottle to Tao Yang. He then cupped his fists and said, Until we meet again. Saying so, his figure flickered and he flew off like a bolt of lightning. Hey! Rong Mei chased after him a few steps, but when she found that Yang Kai had disappeared, she suddenly became annoyed and stamped her foot. This person, you? Huh? Tao Yang looked at his 3 junior brothers and junior sisters. Helplessly shaking his head and sighing, although he didn't scold them, the disappointment on his face was obvious. Brother. A thin junior brother looked at him suspiciously. Is he worth being so friendly with? That's right. He doesn't look like a powerful figure, And his clothes are even more ordinary. Why would you give him a purifying spirit bottle for free? Rong Mei's eyes were filled with confusion. She muttered softly, "What an annoying person. He didn't even say thank you." Why would he say that? He didn't take the purifying spirit bottle for nothing. Tao Yang finally glared at them. He handed the bottle that Yang Kai had just thrown to Rong Mei and said lightly, "See for yourself." What? Rong Mei took it in dissatisfaction and pouted her small mouth. Isn't it just a bottle of medicinal pills? How can it compare to the value of the purifying spirit bottle? While complaining, she casually opened the bottle and took a whiff. Her beautiful face suddenly changed color as she looked at Tao Yang in shock. A trace of helplessness flashed in Tao Yang's eyes. It can't be? Rong Mei looked surprised. As if she could not believe it, her small hand trembled as she poured out a pill from the bottle. She placed it on her palm and carefully observed it. The other two also came over and sniffed the rich pill fragrance. Looking at the round and plump pill, they all exclaimed, "A heaven-grade pill?" Look carefully. Tao Yang's eyesight was obviously better than the three of them, so he was able to see the quality of this pill at a glance. Could it be a heaven-grade high-rank pill? This time the three of them not only did not complain, but instead showed a look of joy. A heaven-grade high-rank yuan qi pill. Tao Yang smiled bitterly. Tell me, can it offset the value of the purifying spirit bottle? Rong Mei's face turned red. Bison nodded. These people had entered the evil cavern to gain experience, so naturally they would bring some medicinal pills with them. However, the highest grade of medicinal pills they had brought was only a heaven-grade low-rank yuan qi pill. Compared to the bottle that Yang Kai had casually thrown out, it was only 2 small grades lower. The value of the pills was also very different. Moreover, sometimes, the value of a good bottle of medicinal pills could not be measured by money. It could save lives at a critical moment. What kind of background does that guy have? Why is he so generous? The thin junior brother asked with an inexplicable look of shock. Speaking of which, it was very interesting. This was the first time that his brother and that person had met, but one was more generous than the other, as if they were competing. Give a peach and return a plum, that's it. Tao Yang smacked his lips, looking at the three of them with disappointment. No matter what kind of background he has, brother, I wanted to befriend him, but it was ruined by the three of you. The three of them couldn't help feeling a little guilty, repeatedly admitting their mistakes. Rong Mei curiously asked, Brother, how do you know that he is a person worth befriending? There are all kinds of people who come here. What if he's an evil person? Tao Yang smiled. If he was a treacherous person, he wouldn't have deliberately made a noise to let us notice him. The three of them suddenly understood. They had thought that Yang Kai had accidentally made a noise when he landed, but they never expected that he had deliberately made a noise to alert them. He probably didn't want to misunderstand, so he did this. It seemed that he wasn't a person who liked to cause trouble, and his nature wasn't bad. Moreover, Tao Yang's eyes seemed to flash with lightning and he was very shrewd. Although his words and behavior revealed that he didn't know much about this place, since he dared to come here alone, he must have something to rely on. This person is undoubtedly very strong. It can't be, he is younger than us. Rong Mei obviously didn't believe it. Age doesn't mean everything. Didn't you see that when he was facing the four of us alone, he wasn't nervous at all? He didn't care about us at all. What does this mean? It means that he is not afraid of us, and may even have the strength to kill us. This is why I want to befriend him. How is that possible? The three of them exclaimed again and again, shaking their heads. I don't believe it. Tao Yang looked at them helplessly. Don't be so short-sighted, okay? There are many geniuses in this world, and there are many powerful people everywhere. You have to look at the long term. Rong Mei chuckled, but even if brother says so, I still don't believe it. There are definitely geniuses, but at his age, if he can kill the four of us, he is not a genius, but a monster. The other two nodded, looking like they had said what was on the bottom of their hearts. Sigh. Tao Yang only felt that he had wasted a lot of words, but still couldn't broaden the horizons of his 3 junior sisters and junior brother. He sighed, You guys? Remember one thing, in this world, you can be weak, but you can't be discerning. But you can't be so blind. You have to see clearly who you can't offend and who you can make friends with. If you can do it, you can live a long life. Okay, I know brother is going to talk about platitudes again. Let's go in, that person is one step ahead of us. Rong Mei walked forward and dragged Tao Yang. Let's go faster, maybe we can meet him again. At that time, we can see whether he is really strong or not. It's useless for you to say more now. That's right. Tao Yang's eyes brightened, and he also quickened his pace. He also wanted to know. What was the reason Yang Kai dared to enter this place alone? A few miles away. Yang Kai frowned as he looked at the green evil spirit floating not far in front of him. It was like a ghost. After carefully observing it, he found that the evil spirit was indeed only a half-entity. It had no limbs. It only had vague facial features, but it was terrifying and looked ferocious. After looking at it for a moment, Yang Kai walked towards it. Evil spirits didn't have intelligence, but they were very sensitive to the aura of life. As long as there was a living thing within a certain range, they would be hunted down. If they couldn't be defeated, they would definitely not be able to escape. Yang Kai was only a few dozen feet away when he was discovered by the evil spirit. With a howl, the evil spirit floated towards Yang Kai like catkins. In an instant, a cold wind blew, and ghosts wailed and wolves howled. Yang Kai waved his palm at the evil spirit, and the hot wind from his palm directly hit the evil spirit's body. The evil spirit was suddenly beaten into a state of disarray, and where the true Yang Yuan Qi had penetrated, it was as if it was on fire, burning fiercely. Although the true Yang Yuan Qi was quickly offset by the evil spirit's evil energy, this palm seemed to have caused it to suffer a great loss, and its entire green body dimmed a lot. The body that was charging forward suddenly paused, and the wailing and howling stopped abruptly. Immediately, the evil spirit suddenly turned around and fled in panic. Yang Kai was stunned, faintly feeling that something was wrong, and hurriedly chased after it. Who would have thought that although the evil spirit didn't have a physical body, its speed of escape was quite fast? Yang Kai chased it for a long time before finally catching it. After 3 to 5 moves, he defeated it, leaving behind only a mass of evil spirit essence. The degree of ease was far beyond Yang Kai's imagination. Before, when he saw Tao Yang's group of 4 dealing with those evil spirits, Yang Kai had thought he would be the same. Standing in place, frowning for a long time, Yang Kai still felt that this phenomenon was not normal. It was said that evil spirits would fight to the death when they encountered a living being, so why did it run away after just 1 move? Moreover, it only took a few moves to kill an evil spirit. Could it be that the true Yang Yuan Qi restrained it? After thinking about it for a while, this was the only reason that made sense. The true Yang Yuan Qi had always been the nemesis of evil spirits, and Yang Kai had relied on it to suppress the evil energy in his unyielding golden skeleton. Thinking so, Yang Kai's expression suddenly became quite excited. Inside this evil cavern, he undoubtedly had a great advantage over the others. If he didn't take advantage of this advantage, wouldn't it be too wasteful? Taking out the purifying spirit bottle, Yang Kai imitated Rong Mei's actions, slightly circulating his Yuan Qi and pouring it into this artifact. In an instant, a suction force emerged from the purifying spirit bottle and sucked in the evil spirit essence. Very interesting, Yang Kai chuckled to himself. Putting away the purifying spirit bottle, Yang Kai continued on his way. There didn't seem to be many traces of cultivator activity nearby, only a small number of people. As Yang Kai walked, he killed all the evil spirits he saw, not letting go of a single one. After suffering the first time, Yang Kai became more decisive, not giving any evil spirits a chance to escape, directly crushing them with brute force. In less than half a day, the purifying spirit bottle had been filled with 20 masses of evil spirit essence, a rich harvest. However, Yang Kai could also feel that the energy contained in these evil spirit essences was not very strong, so even if he absorbed them, the increase in strength would not be much. Chapter 329. More than a dozen miles behind Yang Kai, Tao Yang and the others had been carefully walking, but after walking for so long, they still hadn't found a single evil spirit, so they couldn't help but feel strange. Why is it so peaceful here? Sister Rong frowned and muttered. Tao Yang looked surprised, his face faintly showing some horror as he quickly said, I'm afraid that the evil spirits along the way have already been cleaned up. Who would bother to clean up the outermost evil spirits? Sister Rong chuckled, suddenly seeming to think of something. She turned to look at Tao Yang and said, Brother, you mean, N. Others wouldn't bother to come back, but from the outside to the inside, they would have to clean up. Tao Yang's eyes shone as he looked ahead. It seems that I still underestimated his ability. This person is not only strong, but his secret art and martial skills seem to be very effective in restraining the evil spirits here. Otherwise, even if he is strong, he wouldn't be able to move so quickly. The other three were shocked, no longer daring to underestimate Yang Kai in the slightest. Yang Kai held the purifying spirit bottle in his hand, facing the mass of evil spirit essence in front of him, but after trying for a while, he still couldn't absorb it. He couldn't help but feel puzzled. After carefully looking at it for a long time, he suddenly recovered. The purifying spirit bottle seemed to have a limited capacity, so it was impossible to absorb the evil spirit essence indefinitely. Thinking of this, Yang Kai shook his head and smiled bitterly. He directly reached out and sucked the evil spirit essence into his palm, guiding it through his meridians a few times. Under the burning of the pure true Yang Yuan Qi, the mass of evil spirit essence was quickly purified and turned into a stream of energy that poured into the unyielding golden skeleton. It was much simpler than he had imagined. After swallowing such a stream of energy, the unyielding golden skeleton suddenly felt a strange sensation. It was as if it was extremely hungry for this kind of energy and was unsatisfied. Sure enough, the energy here was very much to the unyielding golden skeleton's appetite. Perceiving this point, Yang Kai couldn't help but look happy. The last time he refined Liu Yu's purple demon fire, he also felt a little bit like this. Yang Kai had already guessed that this place was the blessed land of the unyielding golden skeleton, and now it seemed that his guess was correct. Anyway, refining the evil spirit essence was quite easy. Yang Kai simply absorbed all 20 essences from the purifying spirit bottle into his meridians. In less than a quarter of an hour, it was completely refined. The unyielding golden skeleton gave off an even more pleasurable feeling, and even Yang Kai felt his body and mind relax. The only thing that was a little disappointing was, this energy only increased Yang Kai's strength and didn't allow him to comprehend anything else, not even the power of his spiritual sense. Grinning, Yang Kai was also quite satisfied. After all, it was said that inside the evil cavern, special evil spirit essences were relatively rare, and whether one could find one depended on one's luck. Just as he was about to continue his exploration, his mind suddenly stirred and he turned his head to look in a certain direction. He couldn't help but have an extremely strange expression. Yang Kai frowned and thought for a while, then hurried in that direction. Half an hour later, the sound of fighting reached their ears. There were flashing lights of various colors and martial skills. Looking in the direction of the light, Yang Kai saw many people gathered together. These people were both men and women, but none of them were very old. Under the leadership of a young girl, they were fighting several evil spirits. The martial skills displayed by these people were quite sinister. Everyone's hands were pale white, like ghost claws, exuding bursts of cold air. From time to time, some people would use martial skills in the form of ghost faces. They let out ferocious howls as they entangled with the evil spirits. These ghost-faced martial techniques were somewhat similar to the evil spirits to a certain extent. They all had indistinct facial features and were extremely frightening. What made Yang Kai even more concerned was that the evil spirits they were facing were somewhat different from the ones he had encountered before. The evil spirits he had encountered before. They were all green in color, but the ones in front of them were. However, it was dark red like fresh blood, which made people's hair stand on end. Moreover, these red evil spirits were undoubtedly much stronger than the green ones. Even their illusory bodies were much more solid. Therefore, even though this group of people had more people than Tao Yang's group, they couldn't win in a short time. 4 or 5 red evil spirits gathered around, letting out sharp howls from time to time. In the howls, they seemed to have resonated and acted in unison. If they failed to hit, they would immediately retreat. They were much more troublesome than the green evil spirits. However, on the scene, this group of cultivators had the upper hand. After a while, the bodies of the red evil spirits gradually dimmed. After one of them was defeated, the scales of victory immediately tilted towards the cultivators. The ghostly face martial skills were also released by them again and again, attacking the red evil spirit as easily as crushing dry weeds. Somehow, one of the red evil spirits bypassed the crowd and directly pounced on Yang Kai before it died. Yang Kai frowned, but he didn't dodge. He wanted to test the red evil spirit's combat strength. He stretched out a hand, Yuan Qi surging in his palm, and met it head-on. With a palm strike, the red evil spirit collapsed in the sky, leaving behind a mass of evil spirit origin floating in front of Yang Kai. This mass of evil spirit origin was clearly much better than the one Yang Kai had before. Yang Kai didn't want to touch this mass of evil spirit origin, but it seemed that the unyielding golden skeleton's appetite had been stimulated by the energy just now. At this moment, it actively produced a suction force and directly sucked this mass of evil spirit origin into its body. By the time he realized that something was wrong, it was already too late. Yang Kai couldn't help but feel stunned and helpless. Over there, the group of cultivators were a little shocked when they saw Yang Kai destroy the evil spirit in one move, but now that they saw him take away the evil spirit origin without any hesitation, their faces sank and their expressions suddenly became unfriendly. "Hey friend, don't you think this is a little unkind?" Immediately, a handsome young man stood up and looked at Yang Kai with a gloomy face. Sorry, I didn't mean to." Yang Kai knew that he was in the wrong and didn't want to quibble. "You didn't mean to?" The young man sneered. "You took away the evil spirit origin that originally belonged to us, and you still want to say that you didn't mean to?" Although Yang Kai's performance just now surprised him, he wasn't afraid. After all, there were 7 or 8 of them. What's more, Yang Kai's reason wasn't convincing at all. Taking something in front of others by force, what else could it be but intentional? Hearing what he said, the others also stepped forward, coldly sizing up Yang Kai, none of them willing to give up. Only one young girl, her beautiful face somewhat pale, stared at Yang Kai, a trace of panic flashing across her beautiful eyes. Her tender body couldn't help trembling slightly. She remembered the inhuman torture and the unbearable pain she had suffered. "Friend, let's make it clear. Although our Ghost King Valley isn't a great sect, we aren't so easy to deal with." The gloomy young man sneered at Yang Kai. Yang Kai frowned and said lightly, "I'll compensate you." "Compensate?" The young man snorted. "No need." Before Yang Kai could answer, the young girl who had been hiding behind the crowd walked up to him. The panic in her eyes had disappeared, and she simply looked at Yang Kai faintly. "You don't need to compensate me. Junior sister?" The young man looked at the young girl in surprise, not knowing why she would say this. "I know him. There's no need to care about this." The young girl's expression was indifferent, but when she looked at Yang Kai, her face became slightly red. She remembered how she and Zmo had tried to seduce Yang Kai in that isolated world. At that time, she had believed Zmo's words and thought he had some kind of hidden disease, but she hadn't expected him to take advantage of her. "Do you know him?" The young man became more and more confused, looking at the young girl and then back at Yang Kai. He couldn't help feeling confused. He can be considered my savior." The young girl finally showed a smile, but this cold woman's smile was slightly stiff. "Young Lady Lung, we meet again." Yang Kai smiled at this young girl. This young girl was Ghost King Valley's Lung Shan. In the minds of both Zmo and Lung Shan, Yang Kai's divine sense brand, so as long as they weren't too far apart, Yang Kai could feel their existence, but Yang Kai hadn't expected to meet Lung Shan here. "And we meet again." Lung Shan nodded slightly, feeling relieved in her heart. It seemed that this young man didn't intend to speak about what had happened in that isolated world, nor did he intend to use his divine sense brand to torture her. Although she had long known that Yang Kai wasn't a bad person, Lung Shan was still a little worried. Seeing that the two of them were really familiar with each other, the Ghost King Valley disciples couldn't help glancing at each other, and the hostility of the gloomy young man also converged. You should first refine this evil spirit essence. Once that thing is absorbed into your body, it will be harmful if you don't refine it as soon as possible. Lung Shan whispered before turning to the others, all of you put away this evil spirit essence and be vigilant, don't let it take advantage of you. Everyone quickly got to work. Yang Kai also chuckled and began circulating his true Yang secret art. The red evil spirit essence was really different, and the energy it contained was much higher than that of the green evil spirit essence. A moment later, Yang Kai's body felt light and he said, "Done." "Done?" The gloomy young man exclaimed, frowning as he stared at Yang Kai. "Friend, how can you refine this evil spirit essence so quickly? Have you finished refining it? This thing isn't a joke. If you don't clean it up, it's very likely it will leave behind some hidden dangers." He kindly reminded Yang Kai, obviously because Lung Shan had said he was her savior, otherwise, it would have been impossible for his attitude to change so much. I cultivate a Yang attribute secret art, so it's quite effective against this, Yang Kai lightly explained. So that's how it is. I was wondering why friend was able to destroy that red evil spirit in a single move. Your strength is a bit too strong, huh? It turns out it's because Yuan Qi's attribute secret art can restrain it. It scared me. The gloomy young man was no longer gloomy and laughed heartily. "Nice to meet you, my name is Qin Yi. I apologize for offending you just now. I hope this friend won't mind." Yang Kai. The other party was willing to reconcile, so Yang Kai naturally wouldn't care. After all, it was his fault. Chapter 330. Inside the Evil Cavern. In a secluded location, the Ghost King Valley disciples were sitting together. They had just experienced a battle and needed a little time to recover. In this kind of evil cavern, only by maintaining their peak state could they ensure their own safety. Although they were meditating and resting, these people still didn't relax in the slightest, constantly keeping an eye out for any movement around them, guarding against the sudden appearance of the red evil spirits. Yang Kai secretly nodded as he curiously glanced over at Lung Shan. After not seeing her for nearly a year, this ice-cold girl seemed to have grown a lot. Lung Shan wasn't the strongest in this group, nor was she the oldest, but everyone's command fell into her hands. It was under her command that this group of people could be so orderly. Her relatively high status in Ghost King Valley was one of the reasons for this, but it was also likely that she had honed a lot of experience in that isolated world. The young man, Qin Yi, was also sitting nearby with a smile on his face, looking towards Yang Kai with a kind expression. He didn't seem to know that Yang Kai had killed 2 elite Ghost King Valley disciples, nor was he aware of the grievances between him and Lung Shan. "Why are you here?" Yang Kai asked curiously. He really hadn't expected to meet an acquaintance in the evil cavern this time. Although in that isolated world, Yang Kai and Zimo's relationship was better than Lung Shan's, because of the brand of divine sense in Lung Shan's mind, there was still a faint connection between the two. However, this connection was one-sided. Yang Kai could feel Lung Shan's presence, but she couldn't feel Yang Kai's. "Of course I can be here." A smile appeared on Lung Shan's cold face. "Don't you know where this place is?" "Evil Cavern." Yang Kai frowned, suddenly realizing the profound in Ghost King's territory. Ghost King Valley. It turns out your Ghost King Valley is in the ash-gray cloud evil land. Lung Shan nodded lightly. Yang Kai was suddenly surprised. Is Ghost King Valley related to the profound in Ghost King? Although they both have the title Ghost King in their names, there isn't much of a connection between them. It's just that they fall under his jurisdiction. Chen interjected with a smile. "It seems that Brother Yang doesn't know much about the ash-gray cloud evil land." Yang Kai nodded. Chen laughed and said, "It doesn't matter. If there is anything you don't understand, just ask me. Since you are my junior sister's savior, you should know. Since you are a friend of my Ghost King Valley, naturally you are a friend of this Chen. May I ask where Brother Yang is from?" "Brother!" Lung Shan shouted. She knew Yang Kai's sect, but because she knew, she felt that this matter was of great importance. High Heaven Pavilion wasn't famous before, but after the birth of the Demon Lord, it became famous all over the world. Because of their relationship with the Demon Lord, the entire High Heaven Pavilion wasn't very well received. This phenomenon was not limited to the outside world. It was the same in the ash-gray cloud evil land. Because as soon as the Demon Lord appeared, he brought war to the ash-gray cloud evil land. This was not something everyone wanted to see happen. Aware of Lung Shan's reminder, Chen Yi smiled awkwardly and waved his hand. "Forget I asked, Brother Yang, please don't mind me." In his heart, he was also a bit curious. Where did this Yang Kai come from? Why couldn't he say anything about it? Yang Kai smiled faintly. "But why are you here?" Lung Shan asked curiously. High Heaven Pavilion was thousands of miles away from here, so it must have taken a lot of effort to get here. "I heard there was something here, so I came to play." Chen Yi and Lung Shan were both stunned and couldn't help smiling bitterly. "Your courage is really big, actually daring to come here to play." Lung Shan shook her head helplessly, but she knew Yang Kai's strength and strangeness. So she didn't show too much surprise. Perhaps he really was qualified to come here, to play. "Right, why are you dealing with red evil spirits? All I've encountered along the way are green." Yang Kai asked about the doubts in his heart. Chen Yi laughed, understanding that Yang Kai really had come here to play, otherwise how could he not have gathered enough information about the evil cavern? Lung Shan couldn't help smiling, gently pursing her lips. The other Ghost King Valley disciples also looked at Yang Kai with a funny expression. Yang Kai scratched his head awkwardly. Lung Shan lightly coughed. Chen Yi's expression became serious. Finally, he asked, "Brother Yang, the green evil spirits you encountered were somewhat different from the red evil spirits, right? And the red one is undoubtedly much stronger. Just like this, the deeper you go into the evil cavern, the more powerful the evil spirits you encounter. Green evil spirits are only encountered in the outermost area, so they are relatively easy to deal with. Red evil spirits are only slightly stronger than green evil spirits. However, they aren't too difficult to deal with. Further in, there are purple evil spirits, black evil spirits, each one more powerful than the previous, and their bodies also become more and more solid. Black evil spirits already have a complete physical body. They are existences that even immortal ascension boundary masters have to avoid. For people like us, at best, we can only have ideas about purple evil spirits, but if we encounter black evil spirits, we should quickly run, otherwise if we're not careful we'll lose our lives here. Yang Kai's brow furrowed. Purple evil spirits. It was likely that Liyu's demonic purple chi body and purple demon spirit fire were obtained from purple evil spirits. So that's how it is. Yang Kai nodded slightly. Moreover, in addition to these 4 ordinary evil spirits, Brother Yang, you should also pay attention to a special kind of evil spirit. After Chen Yi's impression of Yang Kai had greatly changed, he also intended to make friends with him, so he decided to tell him everything he knew. "Oh." Yang Kai looked at Chen Yi in surprise and found that his expression was extremely dignified, and there was also a trace of worry in his eyes, so he couldn't help asking, "What kind of evil spirit?" "Soul-type evil spirits." Shen Yi said in a low voice with a warning tone, "This thing looks the same as the other evil spirits, so it's very difficult to distinguish. But if you encounter it, I advise you to run away as fast as you can." "Because they have soul skills." Chen Yi grinned. "We're just Yuan Qi cultivators. If we encounter this kind of evil spirit, we won't be able to deal with it. Brother Yang, do you have an artifact that can defend against soul skills?" Yang Kai shook his head. "That's not good." Chen Yi frowned slightly. "Those who come here will generally bring some kind of artifact that can defend against soul skills, and if the conditions are good, they will also bring some offensive artifacts that can restrain evil spirits. However, Brother Yang, your secret art and Yuan Qi attribute can restrain evil spirits, so you don't need to worry about this." "It doesn't matter, I shouldn't be so unlucky." Yang Kai smiled. Although he didn't have an artifact that could defend against soul skills, he still had a few soul skills in his mind, so the defensive power of his spirit palace shouldn't be bad. So he didn't really care. soul-type evil spirits are generally quite rare. Chen Yi nodded. After a few words, the atmosphere became joyful and harmonious. As they were talking, a strange sound suddenly rang out in the distance. This sound was sharp and harsh, like the sound of a flute, but also like the howling of ghosts. When the Ghost King Valley disciples heard this sound, they couldn't help turning their heads towards the source of the sound. There's movement. Chen Yi's expression became serious. Chen Yi said in a low voice. Let's go take a look. Leng Shan also nodded slightly. Yang Kai didn't ask for details, but looking at the faces of this group of people, it didn't seem like something big had happened. Let's go. Chen Yi beckoned everyone to set off. Turning to Yang Kai, he asked, Brother Yang, if you don't mind, how about we go together? Good. Yang Kai nodded. Just now, he had accidentally taken their evil spirit essence. Since he had promised to compensate them, he should keep his word. Taking advantage of others was not a good thing. Everyone walked in the front while Leng Shan deliberately fell behind, walking side by side with Yang Kai. Don't worry, I won't do anything to you. Yang Kai thought she was a little worried and quickly reassured her. I know you won't. Leng Shan shook her head. That's not what I wanted to tell you. Oh, then what did you want to say? Leng Shan smiled lightly. I wanted to tell you that we came to the evil cavern this time. We didn't come here for life experience. If not for life experience, then why did you come here? Yang Kai was puzzled. We came here looking for someone. Looking for someone? And a few outsiders killed many free and unfettered sect disciples and then fled here. Ghost King Valley isn't far from free and unfettered sect, so we were pulled in to help. Yang Kai glanced at her casually and found that when she mentioned free and unfettered sect, her expression was somewhat resentful. Chuckling lightly, he asked, Does that free and unfettered sect often bully your Ghost King Valley? You didn't come here willingly this time, did you? You know too much. Leng Shan glared at him, more and more confirming Yang Kai's guess. She lightly said, I'll tell you in advance, after all, you don't belong to the ash-gray cloud evil land, and free and unfettered sect is pursuing a cultivator from an outside force. If you see a fellow Daoist in danger, I'm afraid you'll be in trouble. Fellow Daoist? Yang Kai sneered. This father's sect is no more. Where would I find a fellow Daoist? Leng Shan's expression darkened. I've also heard about what happened to High Heaven Pavilion. My condolences. Yang Kai snorted. Perhaps because of Shan Qing Luo's influence, or perhaps because of the changes in High Heaven Pavilion, Yang Kai didn't care about righteous or evil. The world's general trend had nothing to do with him, so when he looked at people and dealt with them, it was his personal preference. Then what kind of person is free and unfettered sect chasing? Yang Kai couldn't help but ask curiously. Besides a woman, who else could it be? Leng Shan smiled contemptuously. Free and unfettered sect, the most free and unfettered of all, you know. But I understand. Yang Kai couldn't help sweating. He hadn't expected the cold Leng Shan to actually say such words. And it's said that they're a pair of twins with extraordinary beauty and strength. The two of them working together is quite clever. Leng Shan's eyes secretly flashed with satisfaction. They killed more than a dozen free and unfettered sect disciples, but unfortunately in the end, they were still forced to come here. You're quite prejudiced against free and unfettered sect. Yang Kai chuckled as he looked at her. Has anyone in free and unfettered sect ever coveted your beauty? Leng Shan proudly raised her head, not giving a direct answer, but the answer was obvious enough. Heh. Yang Kai chuckled, his expression suddenly becoming serious as he asked in a low voice, If those two women were really caught, what would you do? I don't know. Leng Shan shook her head. I don't want to get involved in this matter, but since Master has ordered us to do so, we can only put on an act. We may not actually catch them, but when we do, then we'll talk. That's true. Yang Kai nodded lightly. Chapter 331. The group continued walking forward for a long time. Suddenly, Yang Kai's eyes flashed as he stared in a certain direction. Wait! Yang Kai reached out and grabbed Lung Shan. Stop! Chen Yi noticed the movement behind him and quickly raised his hand. The group of Ghost King Valley disciples quickly stopped, each of them on alert. What's wrong? Lung Shan asked in surprise. Yang Kai didn't answer, instead focusing more and more on the situation. A moment later, his expression became cold and his body shot out like a bolt of lightning, his yuan qi surging as he stretched out his hand and grabbed forward. In the void, there seemed to be a series of ripples, and as these ripples spread out, a figure suddenly appeared in everyone's field of vision. This person's face showed a trace of surprise and horror as he stared at Yang Kai in disbelief, his figure quickly retreating as he raised his hands and shouted, "Hey, hey!" Yang Kai's expression froze as his eyes fell on this person's pale white hands. Every Ghost King Valley disciple's hands were this color, as if there was no blood flowing through them, making them look extremely terrifying. But, Brother Yang, stop! Chen Yi also hurriedly shouted. Hearing this shout, Yang Kai also quickly stopped. He's one of us, he's one of us. Chen Yi and Lung Shan hurriedly caught up. I saw it. Yang Kai smiled. He had thought that someone was lying in ambush waiting for an opportunity to attack, but he hadn't expected that this person was also a Ghost King Valley disciple. So, the voice just now was a signal sent out by this person. After the man was forced to reveal himself, he stared at Yang Kai in shock until Chen Yi arrived and exclaimed, "Fuck, who is this guy?" Junior Sister Lung's savior. Chen Yi briefly introduced. Yang Kai now knew that this Ghost King Valley disciple, Ching Ying, had been leading the way. Sorry, it's a misunderstanding. Yang Kai cupped his fists towards him. Fuck, you're amazing. Cheng Ying shouted, I brought a concealment artifact and used the ghost concealment martial skill. Brother Shen and the others couldn't see where I was hiding, so how did you see through it with a single glance? Hearing his words, everyone realized that something was wrong. If it wasn't for Ching Ying's ability to hide herself perfectly, she wouldn't have been able to do so. They would not allow him to explore the path ahead alone. With this kind of concealment technique, even an ordinary immortal ascension boundary master wouldn't be able to see through it. It was also by relying on this that Ching Ying was able to obtain all kinds of information like a fish in water. But unexpectedly, Yang Kai, who hadn't even reached the immortal ascension boundary yet, was able to see through it so clearly. How could they not be surprised? Yeah, Brother Yang, how did you do it? Chen Yi asked curiously. Yang Kai frowned and said lightly, maybe my senses are much sharper than the average person. Is that okay? Cheng Ying obviously didn't quite believe it, but since Yang Kai said so, he didn't ask any more. Lung Shan stared at Yang Kai suspiciously. Her beautiful eyes flashed thoughtfully. Not wanting to get to the bottom of the matter, she changed the subject. Cheng Ying, since you sent this message, did you find something? Cheng Ying recovered from his daze. Wiping his mouth, he excitedly said, yes. Those two girls? Lung Shan's expression suddenly became cold. As a woman, the word girls was a bit harsh to her ears. Ahem, those two women's whereabouts were exposed. Cheng Ying grinned meaningfully. Waving his hands, he continued, but they're incredibly strong. Their cultivations obviously aren't very high, but when they join forces, their strength soars. They must have cultivated some kind of special secret art. That group of free and unfettered sect idiots didn't know how strong they were, so several of them died. That fool Yu Qing was almost castrated by one of them. That scene, it was too horrible to look at. This Cheng Ying seemed to be quite a lively person. As he spoke, he gestured to his crotch and shuddered. Just looking at it made this brother's crotch feel cold. I'm scared. Junior brother Cheng Ying, don't talk nonsense. Chen Yi saw Lung Shan's expression turn ugly and quickly interrupted his nonsense. Heh. Cheng Ying awkwardly scratched his head and pretended to slap his mouth. Yes, 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 my mouth is cheap. Junior sister, please don't be angry. Lung Shan snorted. She knew that this was his nature. A dog can't change its habit of eating shit. Chen Yi's expression suddenly changed, becoming extremely gloating. Then, was Yu Qing castrated or not? Cheng Ying said with some frustration, no, it's a pity. But after taking that blow, I estimate that he won't be able to get hard for 10 days or half a month. He deserves it, he deserves it. The second half of his sentence was directed towards Lung Shan with a smile. It's a pity. Chen Yi also sighed. What happened later? What happened to those two women? Later, they ran away, deeper inside. Chen Ying's expression suddenly became serious. There are purple evil spirits moving around inside, and there are so many of them, I estimate that they are about to reach their limit. Is that so? Chen Yi frowned. What does Yu Qing mean? His meaning is naturally to capture them alive. So, he wants us to cooperate with them, first kill those purple evil spirits, then capture those two women. Fuck! Chen Yi angrily cursed. Ghost King Valley had suffered many losses in front of Free and Unfettered Sect over the years, but because Free and Unfettered Sect occupied a yellow spring pond which was of great benefit to the cultivation of Ghost King Valley's disciples, even if Ghost King Valley was angry and resentful, they still had to give way. In order to obtain that yellow spring pond, Ghost King Valley had sent countless female disciples into Free and Unfettered Sect as dowries over the years for the men of Free and Unfettered Sect to vent their frustrations. The two sects had long been like fire and water, but it was impossible for them to directly go to war, barely maintaining a fragile balance. Therefore, even if Lung Shan and the others were unwilling to participate in this matter, they had no choice but to rush over to assist Free and Unfettered Sect because Yu Qing had promised that if they could capture those two women alive, he would open the Yellow Spring Pond for a month. 1 month was enough for the strength of hundreds of Ghost King Valley's disciples to soar. Lung Shan and the others couldn't refuse such a temptation. Yu Qing now wanted the Ghost King Valley disciples to rush over, clearly wanting to use them to clean up the purple evil spirits and minimize his own losses. The disciples of the two sects had been dealing with each other for many years and were quite familiar with each other's tricks, so how could Chen Yi and Lung Shan not understand his intentions? So, should we go? Cheng Ying looked at Chen Yi and Lung Shan and asked. Chen Yi grit his teeth and didn't say anything, just staring at Lung Shan. Lung Shan sneered, Of course we should go. Even if it's just to see their miserable state, we should still go. Chen Yi's spirit suddenly rose and he nodded, what junior sister says makes sense. After the group finished their discussion, they immediately followed Cheng Ying's lead and walked forward. Along the way, they didn't encounter any evil spirits, presumably because they had been cleaned up earlier. After walking for a long time, a group of people appeared in front of them, their numbers no less than the Ghost King Valley group, and looking at the nearby traces, it was obvious that a great battle had just taken place. There were traces of blood on the ground and several corpses lying around. An evil-looking man with a pale complexion was sitting beside Yang Kai, completely ignoring his image. Large drops of sweat rolled down his forehead, and his face was filled with hatred as he stared at the depths of the evil cavern, muttering under his breath, You two sluts, sooner or later I'll catch you and teach you a lesson. Daring to hurt me here. Under the dim light, one could clearly see that in the middle of this man's thigh, there was a half-foot-long wound that was still bleeding. In front of this man, a beautiful woman was kneeling in front of him, her head bowed as she applied medicine to his wound. Even in this kind of environment, this sinister-looking man's crotch was still erect. When the Ghost King Valley disciple came over, Lung Shan turned her eyes away in disgust, but Chen Yi, on the other hand, glanced over with interest and ridiculed. This injury isn't serious, it's just a flesh wound. Yu Qing, what are you yelling about? Yu Qing suddenly became furious. If it weren't for my good luck, this wouldn't be just a flesh wound. Those two sluts must pay the price, I'll make them beg for death. Yu Qing clamored, looking extremely furious. Yang Kai raised his eyes and glanced over at the Free and Unfettered Sects group and was surprised to find that all the men in this sect had pale complexions, as if they were lacking in vitality. On top of that, all of them were exceptionally handsome, but their pale complexions completely ruined their beauty. Every Free and Unfettered Sect male disciple was accompanied by a number of beautiful women. Unlike the pale complexions of the men, these women all had rosy cheeks and bright smiles, as if they had been nourished quite well. When they looked towards the Ghost King Valley disciples, they didn't bother to hide the lustful look in their eyes. There was even one woman who boldly threw a tantrum towards a male Ghost King Valley disciple, licking her lips and licking her lips, displaying an extremely slutty appearance. The free and unfettered sect male disciple next to her not only didn't show any jealousy, but instead happily pinched her perky buttocks, causing her to gasp for breath. Yang Kai's face sank. He found that all the people he had met during this time were proficient in the ways of men and women. Shan Qing Luo and Bai Luo didn't need to be mentioned. Both of them cultivated seduction techniques, so although they were virgins, they were still quite familiar with the ways of the bedroom. This free and unfettered sect disciple also seemed to be plucking in to supplement his yang, but Yang Kai didn't know why he was so frivolous. There was probably some kind of mystery behind it. Although your Ghost King Valley people look quite ugly, these free and unfettered sect people are even more disgusting. Yang Kai quietly whispered in Lung Shan's ear. Who's ugly? Lung Shan suddenly became angry. Oh, I mean your hands, they're as white as a corpse. What do you know? In a few years, once your cultivation reaches a certain level, the color will return to normal. Don't compare my Ghost King Valley with free and unfettered sect trash. Yang Kai shrugged and no longer said anything. Enough nonsense, since you've come, let's begin. There are a lot of purple evil spirits ahead, so with just the strength of one of our sects, I'm afraid we won't be able to pass through, so we must all sincerely cooperate. Yu Qing pulled up his trousers and stood up to speak to Chen Yi. Chen Yi coldly snorted, I hope your free and unfettered sect can truly cooperate. Chapter 332. His cold seemed to have gotten worse. He had been coughing all day. He coughed so much that his consciousness was almost blurred. Fortunately, he didn't have a fever. He wanted to be comforted. The two groups of people gathered together. After a simple discussion, they decided to move forward. Chen Yi reluctantly led the way. Beside him were two free and unfettered sect disciples, a man and a woman. The rest of the people scattered behind them in a fan shape, ready to enter battle at a moment's notice. After walking for a short time, they saw two purple evil spirits floating in front of them. These two purple evil spirits were filled with thick evil qi and were far more ferocious than the red evil spirit. Their bodies were also much more solid, and even their facial features were much clearer. It was to the extent that they even grew two tentacle-like things. 5 indistinct fingers could be vaguely seen, giving off an eerie atmosphere. Here they come. Chen Yi shouted, secretly circulating his yuan qi. You take one, we'll take one. Yu Qing said faintly. The Ghost King Valley and free and unfettered sect disciples all gathered their strength and scattered to the sides, each one facing one of these evil spirits. Wailing and howling filled the air, piercing straight into the depths of one's heart, causing one's blood to run cold. In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, everyone began to exchange blows with these two evil spirits. The Ghost King Valley disciples used a variety of yin qi martial skills, cooperating with each other to deal with the evil spirit. The free and unfettered sect disciples were the same, but the martial skills they used weren't as ugly as those of the Ghost King Valley disciples, instead giving off a pleasing feeling. Yang Kai only watched from the sidelines and didn't make a move. From time to time, he would make a move or two, wanting to see just how strong these purple evil spirits were. After a while, he was able to figure out their strength. The purple evil spirits were indeed much more difficult to deal with than the red evil spirits. Although the 7 or 8 Ghost King Valley disciples had the upper hand, they didn't dare act rashly, instead choosing to play it safe. Slowly but surely, they consumed the strength of these evil spirits. If 3 of these evil spirits attacked together, Yang Kai estimated that the Ghost King Valley disciples wouldn't be able to cope. The group of people fought for a long time. After killing their respective evil spirits, the evil spirit essences they left behind were extremely rich. Both sects' disciples happily held their purifying spirit bottles and stepped forward to collect these essences. This was their first cooperation, and the result was quite satisfactory. Both Ghost King Valley and free and unfettered sect were quite satisfied. Continue. Yuqing grinned and nodded towards Chen Yi. Chen Yi didn't complain and continued to lead the way with the other two free and unfettered sect disciples. Along the way, they obtained a considerable amount of purple evil spirits. Half a day later, both sects had collected 5 or 6 evil spirits each. Moreover, these evil spirits would gather in pairs, so that neither faction would be left out of action. The scene was rather harmonious, with a sense of seamless cooperation. However, Yang Kai was keenly aware that Leng Shan was constantly on guard against the movements of the free and unfettered sect disciples, even in the midst of battle. He did not relax in the slightest. After successfully killing 2 more evil spirits, the Ghost King Valley disciple who was responsible for collecting these essences was about to step forward, but a young woman suddenly flew out from the free and unfettered sect group, giggling as she stretched out her hand. He directly swallowed the evil spirit origin into his body. Immediately after, she floated back to the free and unfettered sect group, her pretty face filled with a smug and satisfied expression. The free and unfettered sect male disciple beside her even kissed her on the lips and praised, "Baby, you're really brave." "Hee, I just want you to be stronger," the young woman said sweetly. "Yuqing." Chen Yi couldn't help shouting when he saw this. "What do you mean?" Yuqing chuckled lightly. "Nothing. That evil spirit origin is ours, how can you so blatantly snatch it away?" Chen Yi's expression was cold, and the Ghost King Valley disciples were also disgruntled. "Chen Yi, why are you acting like an outsider? Free and unfettered sect and Ghost King Valley are one big family, and now that we're all sincerely cooperating, it's only right that we help each other. Us taking this evil spirit origin is the same as you taking it." Yuqing didn't seem to care and casually said, "Then can I understand that if you kill these evil spirits, we can also collect their essences?" Chen Yi's expression was gloomy as he stared at him coldly. "As long as you have the ability, it doesn't matter." Yuqing chuckled. "Don't be angry, isn't it just a evil spirit origin? Compared to the Yellow Spring Pond, your Ghost King Valley needs it more, right? Rest assured, after this matter is settled, I promise to open the Yellow Spring Pond to you for a month. I, Yuqing, am a man of my word." Hearing the mention of the Yellow Spring Pond, Chen Yi's brow furrowed for a moment before he snorted, "I hope so." The Ghost King Valley disciples really didn't have any immunity to the Yellow Spring Pond. If it weren't for free and unfettered sect's strength, Ghost King Valley would have already attacked them. The two factions continued to push forward, but because of what had just happened, the harmonious atmosphere had clearly been broken. Yang Kai followed Leng Shan and asked softly, "Why did that young woman directly absorb that evil spirit origin into her body? I don't think she cultivates a secret art that can restrain evil spirits." It was because she had directly absorbed the evil spirit origin into her body that the Ghost King Valley disciples hadn't had time to collect it. After all, using the purifying spirit bottle to collect the evil spirit origin would take some time. "That's a charmed slave." Leng Shan responded softly, "They can allow the free and unfettered sect's male disciples to bear all kinds of damage. Don't underestimate these people. The men of the free and unfettered sect use special cultivation techniques to train their charmed slaves, making them unswervingly loyal to them. Even if they were told to die, they wouldn't even frown." "So powerful?" Yang Kai exclaimed. This free and unfettered sect really had some means. They were able to train their women and completely entrust them to them. And a charmed slave directly absorbing that evil spirit origin will definitely suffer some damage, but since she doesn't care, the free and unfettered sect's men also don't care. One is willing to hit, one is willing to suffer, that's it. Moreover, each free and unfettered sect's men have more than one charmed slave. If one of them dies, they won't care. What a beast! Yang Kai snorted contemptuously. "You flatter them, they're worse than beasts." Leng Shan sneered. While the two were talking, Yang Kai really saw the woman who had just absorbed the evil spirit origin. She was currently unscrupulously kissing the free and unfettered sect male disciple beside her, moaning softly as her tongue moved, sending a mass of energy from her mouth into his body. When their lips parted, the man's face filled with satisfaction, his white complexion seemingly becoming a little rosy. On the other hand, the woman let out a muffled groan as some blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. However, she didn't seem to care. Gently wiping the blood off her face, she stared at her man affectionately, a look of sweet happiness filling her face. Yang Kai secretly shook his head as he watched this scene. He knew that the free and unfettered sect's method of enslaving charmed slaves was quite impressive. Half an hour later, after the Ghost King Valley disciple had killed an evil spirit with great difficulty, another woman from the free and unfettered sect appeared, attempting to directly seize the evil spirit origin. Yang Kai's brow furrowed as he rushed forward like the wind, grabbing the evil spirit origin before the woman arrived. "HM?" Yu Qing glanced over at Yang Kai in surprise but didn't say anything, just grinning meaningfully. The women from free and unfettered sect didn't care about injuries. They would directly absorb an evil spirit origin on the spot and refine it in a hurry, leaving the harm to themselves while giving the benefits to their man. However, Yang Kai obviously couldn't avoid harming himself by doing this. Therefore, Yu Qing was also gloating, thinking that the Ghost King Valley disciples were just acting in a fit of pique. "I owe you 2 evil spirits." Yang Kai leapt back and grinned. "It's fine, it's just a bunch of trash taking advantage of us, it's better to give it to Brother Yang." Chini laughed. He didn't care, he knew that Yang Kai cultivated a secret art that restrained evil spirits, so even if he absorbed and refined the evil spirit origin on the spot, there wouldn't be any harm. Lung Shan also nodded slightly, agreeing with Qin Yi's statement. Since the two of them didn't object, the other Ghost King Valley disciples naturally didn't say anything, only glaring at the free and unfettered sect disciples with increasing hatred. Over the next half-day, all the evil spirits' essences left behind by the Ghost King Valley disciples were all absorbed by Yang Kai. Yang Kai also wanted to take the evil spirits' essences from free and unfettered sect, but fearing that Ling Shan and the others would be in trouble, he could only bide his time. Seeing Yang Kai targeting free and unfettered sect like this, Yu Qing glared at him coldly and sneered, "Little brat, let's see how long you can last. Absorbing so many evil spirits without refining them all, sooner or later you'll become the demon race." Yang Kai responded with a smile, "Don't worry about it. Just wait and see." Yu Qing's eyes flashed with a cold light. The path ahead suddenly became extremely calm, and after walking for a long time, they didn't encounter a single evil spirit. The two groups of people glanced at each other, not knowing what was going on. As they walked, an extremely rich aura suddenly appeared not far away. This aura was filled with thick evil qi, as if some kind of shocking evil spirit was about to be born, causing everyone's expression to change greatly. After a short moment, this baleful aura suddenly concealed itself and became extremely calm. The group of people glanced at each other and saw the excitement in each other's eyes. The more dangerous a place was, the more benefits there were to be had. The Ghost King Valley and free and unfettered sect disciples were like cats, naturally smelling something fishy. However, thinking about the rich evil qi, they were somewhat hesitant to act. "Should we go and take a look?" Yu Qing asked hesitantly. Chen Yi also hesitated and only turned his eyes to Lung Shan. Lung Shan frowned, seriously considering this matter. But before she could think clearly, a female free and unfettered sect disciple suddenly screamed, "Evil spirits!" Yu Qing heard this and shouted, "Behind us!" Everyone turned their heads to look and suddenly felt a chill run down their spines, causing their feet to cramp. Half a kilometer behind them, a series of purple figures were howling as they rushed towards them. Looking at their numbers, there were at least a dozen of them. More than a dozen purple evil spirits were not something the Ghost King Valley and free and unfettered sect disciples could handle. "Why are there so many of them?" Chen Yi cried out, his face instantly going pale. "Run!" Cheng Ying hurriedly shouted. The group of people didn't hesitate and hurriedly used their movement skills to escape. "Left and right!" Yu Qing shouted as he ran. Welcome to Immortal Cultivation Audiobooks, your gateway to the mystical world of Xianxia. Dive into legendary tales of martial arts, spiritual growth, and immortal ascension. Here, we bring you full-length English audiobooks of the best Wuxia and Xianxia stories, from young prodigies to ancient sect wars. Perfect for fans of Against the Gods, Martial World, and tales of demons and gods.